Oh wow, another completely different thing. You know, to be fair, I think that if I stuck to one kind of video idea, I might just collapse into a pile of sludge. I wouldn't be able to sustain myself. You know, I'm making this right after I just did some work on my final portfolio for my graduation in like a month. And no, it's not for an art school. I'm a theater major, yeah, I know, it doesn't make much sense. It would make more sense with the context that I'm not going to give you. I've seen videos before where people draw themselves into anime screenshots, and I thought, hey, that sounds like a lot of fun. So I tried my hand at it, but I'm honestly a bigger fan of Western cartoons and media, so if I do this again, I'll include more of that. I just don't watch enough anime for it to be sustainable. My Hero Academia is the first one I tried, sort of testing the waters with its relatively simple art style. It's one of the animes that I don't hate on principle, despite its numerous problems that I do in fact hate on principle. This show has got a lot of good bones, not for lack of trying to break them. Of course, for this one I went ahead and made myself a normal Mermaid Avatar because why not? I chose to use the version with legs though. And this show has all kinds of weird, random character designs to it due to its superpower world building. Tons of people have mutations that may or may not have something to do with their quirk, aka their superpower. I already have lore for mine. I figured I would just base it off of appearance, so the quirk is called Lure. It's basically just being an anglerfish, like, can breathe underwater and uses the lure to lure people over and then sort of transforms into something much scarier and more violent to take them down. There are much more complicated quirks in the story, so I figured that works. In this screen cap, the main character Izuku just finished crying so hard that he left a puddle of tears on the ground behind him, so I figured it would be a funny visual gag to just add my character on the ground in the salt water, basically just enjoying myself. When you're a fish, you take what you can get. I think I did alright on this one, but there are things I could have improved with the line art for sure. What I'm most proud of are how the proportions turned out. It looks pretty alright. Next in line is one of the animes that I actually have a much longer and richer history with, Osomatsu San, or in English, Mr. Osomatsu, though honestly who cares about what it is in English. It's a show about a group of sextuplets, 6 brothers all born on the same day, and how they go about their lives as NEETs. They have no job and they're not in college. They're doing nothing important for the most part, and most of the time they're absolutely unbearable to spend any time around, but it's pretty entertaining. It's a comedy anime based on a comic strip manga and a much older anime from the 1900s, and that's why the art style can be pretty bizarre at times. But the more feminine characters, as are pictured here, for the most part tend to be just pretty cute. This scene I came across while I was trying to find something with Totoko, the female character pictured, in her fish costume, because it felt appropriate. There was actually a character occupying the space that I drew mine over, but she had boiling oil thrown at her and is currently writhing on the ground in agony, and all the better for my purposes. This one seems to have been slightly better received by the friends and family I showed it to, saying it looks the most convincing. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess I don't like a couple parts of it, but overall it's not bad. I'm glad I was able to more or less match everything pretty convincingly. Finally, I couldn't resist the chance to draw and talk about things related to Avatar: The Last Airbender. This one isn't technically an anime, it's more of an extremely Asia-inspired Western cartoon. There are absolutely 0 white people in Avatar. I can reason myself into this situation without being both a fish and in the spirit world. I happen to know a lot about this show, so I chose a scene I thought would be most appropriate, and that I could remember would give me a very convenient space to plop my character into. Unfortunately, it was really difficult to find anything of a higher quality to take a screenshot of, so I abused a tool I found on Clip Studio for this one. It pretty much blurs the layer I select to make it look like it's in worse quality, and so it matches the rest of the screenshot more or less. Though this isn't perfect because I think most of the issue was visual artifacting instead of straight up blur. It's the least convincing in my opinion, but I had a lot of fun with it. I drew myself in my yukata for this one. It's a traditional cloth kimono I've had to wear very consistently for like the past year of my life, because of an ancient Japanese kabuki show I'm in that's going to tour to Japan this May. I'm pretty excited about it. I figured it's the outfit that would make the most sense in this context. I mean, you can see how the other characters in this scene have bits and pieces of their designs that fit parts of the yukata, though not all of them are Japanese inspired. It still works. This scene in particular has to do with China a bit more actually, because right under the pictured characters is a koi pond that's very yin-yang inspired, the koi representing the spirit of the moon and the spirit of the ocean. So hopefully you can see why I chose to draw myself in this way again. My character is blue because in a few episodes that is how the main character Aang is pictured when he's trapped in the spirit world, and in this scene my character would only be visible and audible to him, and likely present just because of the vast amounts of spiritual energy present in this spiritual oasis. Can you tell that I'm a big fan of this show? Maybe in the future I'll do another one of these videos, maybe with other kinds of media like video games or movies. If I did that, what kinds of media would you be interested in seeing me drop myself into? Or instead of drawing myself into it, what other characters would you want to see crossing over into different franchises? That's about all I have now, and I'll see you all later.